Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, wherever in the world you may be joining us from today. My name is Francesco Del Carpio, and I am the CFAL York Operations Coordinator. I would like to officially open the sixth session of the Nurses' Voices speaker series. Today's session focuses on Nurses' Voices from Europe. The series is being presented in partnership with the Nightingale Initiative for Global Health. I would like to begin today's session with a land acknowledgement. We acknowledge and recognize that many Indigenous nations have long-standing relationships with the territory upon which our campuses are located that precede the establishment of York University. The area is known as Takaranto and has been caretaken by the Anishinaabe Nation, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and the Huron-Wendat. It is now home to many First Nation, Inuit, and Métis communities. We acknowledge the current treaty holders, the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. The territory is subject to the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant, an agreement to peaceably share and care for the Great Lakes region. As this is an online event and our participants may be joining from various locations, I strongly encourage you to learn about the traditional land upon which you are located. With this, I welcome our moderators, our speakers, and our participants from around the world. Welcome to our webinar. Without further ado, it is my great pleasure to introduce Dr. Barbara Dossi, who is the co-director of the Nightingale Initiative for Global Health, for our opening statement. Dr. Dossi, the floor is yours. Oh, sorry, Dr. Dossi, you're muted.
There we go. Thank you. It's truly an honor to be here with all of y'all in Nurses Week 2024. And as I begin, I would like to just invite each of you to look at your hands right now. Feel your hands. These hands are so important in our work in nursing. Diva and I, in 2000, went to the American Holistic Nurses Association and invited them to join us in a Nightingale moment. And we started off by just taking a moment of silence at 12 noon around the world to honor the work that we were engaged in. And one of the rituals that you can go to the American Holistic Nurses Association and download is the blessing of the hands. And what I would like to do right now is I went to the web and I have this little blessing of the nurse's hands. So I invite you to do whatever you would like to do right now to touch your hands, hold them in any way you want, and just think though of your hands as I say a few words about the importance of our hands in our work. Blessed be these hands that have touched life and have listened to stories. Blessed be these hands that have felt pain. Blessed be these hands that have embraced with compassion. Blessed be these hands that have clenched with anger or withdrawn in fear. Blessed be these hands that have drawn blood and administered medicine. Blessed be these hands that have cleaned beds and disposed of waste. Blessed be these hands that have anointed the sick and offered blessings. And blessed be these hands that grow stiff with age. Bless these hands that have comforted the dying and held the dead. Blessed be these hands. We hold the future in these hands. Blessed be our hands, for they are the work of your hands, O Creator. So think of your hands and this great blessing we have with these hands. Diva, I am going to turn it to you because I don't see Stephen yet.
You're muted, Diva.
Thank you, Barbie. And what a great idea to open with such a blessing and to recognize everyone, all the nurses of the world, the nurses on this call, the nurses speaking and the nurses listening. 2024 International Nurses Week, what a beautiful time to celebrate who we are and what we share with the world and what it means to the world. Thank you. we're waiting now for Stephen Wright, who will be our other co-moderator. But while we're waiting, I would like Francesco to proceed with sharing a video. And I'm going to open this video first with a few comments. This video is created from the deep and old archives from the late 40s, early 50s, and 60s at the World Health Organization. The wonderful original archives that photographers took of nurses in these times to honor nurses' contribution to world health. It's a 5-minute video. It's called Nurses and Midwives Now More Than Ever for a Healthy World. And it was created for the 60th anniversary of the World Health Organization, as you'll see. I hope you enjoy it. Even though it has nurses from around the world, there are a number of pictures of nurses from Europe, and all of the pictures honor the slides of the countries where the nurses are from. Francesco, please. Nurses and midwives now more than ever for a healthy world. Thank you. Thank you so much, Francesco. I'd like to say a couple of more words about this presentation. It's now available in 8 language versions, including European versions, Turkish, French, Portuguese, Spanish, Russian. And it's also available on NI's website at nivision.net under the homepage of our multimedia. You'll find all of those versions and subtitles and this version again, in case you'd like to see it. It's always a joy to see this. It's almost 20 years old now, but is timeless. Thank you. Okay, is Stephen with us? Is Stephen with us?
Not yet. He is trying. He has technical difficulty connecting with us. I'm trying to bring him on, but still
Okay.
difficult.
Okay, so let's go ahead with our keynote speaker. I'm very pleased to be introducing you, Paul. Dr. Paul Raeve is the Secretary General of the European Federation of Nursing Associations, a position he has held since March of 2002. In this role, his activities relate to the promotion and protection of nurses and the nursing profession across Europe. And that means from Iceland to Kamchatka and from the Arctic Circle to the Eastern Mediterranean. Paul, it is a privilege and a joy to welcome you to this Nurses' Voices from Europe. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Diva, for this nice introduction. And first of all, we congratulate you in setting up this work here at the stage. And let me also congratulate my colleagues in the panel who are currently in this panel, and also the people around the world. In that sense, I'm the Secretary General of
You've become muted.
Oh, you're on mute.
I think my PC is changing automatically everything, so I'm not sure what is going on here. But do you see my presentation?
No, I closed out.
Okay.
It stopped. We
So
were seeing it, but it stopped sharing.
Okay. Is now everything technically all right?
Yeah, that looks good now.
Okay,
Thank you.
so I'm Paul de Raeve from the European Federation of Nurses. The EFN was established in 1971 and brings together national nursing associations of 35 countries, the 27 EU countries, plus those countries who have a contract with the European Commission in joining the European Union in the future. In that sense, I'm quite privileged to work with many of you in relation to these 3 institutions. What Washington, D.C. is for American nurses and to lobby the politicians in the capital, I am lobbying the politicians in Brussels, in the European Commission. You see the left building, in the middle, the Council of Ministers, and the right building is the European Parliament. These are the 3 institutions where nurses have an impact on the political policy-making process that will impact on all 35 countries that EFN is represented at. That brings me to the priorities of EFN. Of course, it's not our ambition to change the world. The issue is to change Brussels politicians' mindset on some key topics, like the mobility of nurses within the EU, the workforce matrix that we have developed. How many nurses do we have at our disposal in the EU. And I'm talking EFN is representing 3 million EU nurses, and that is a significant amount. And of course, quality and safety included the digitalization of the healthcare sector. Now we are going almost to the 12th of May, International Nurses Day, and thanks to Florence Nightingale, we are in fact doing exactly the same today. We are influencing politicians to write EU legislation so that impacts on the daily work of 3 million nurses. And as you can see, here is a list of legislation that I have lobbied on behalf of the EFN members, the politicians in Brussels, to get what the nurses wanted. And one of the most important directives, as we call them, is the directive on mutual recognition of professional qualifications. It says who is a nurse and who is not a nurse, who's a physician, who is not a physician, who is a midwife and who is not a midwife. These boundaries, these competencies are set out in EU legislation for accreditation. So in that sense, we have influenced in the last 20, 30 years, the Brussels political environment to get legislation that national ministers of health need to implement into their national legislation. And that is what we call political success. Now, one of those areas is, of course, post-COVID-19, the Biological Agent Directive, which was extremely important for us to follow this up. What was the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on the daily work of nurses, and what legislation the MEPs, the Commission needed to put in place. So collecting the good practices from the EFN members, writing up a report has led to the design in 2020 of the Biological Agent Directive, which has a huge impact on the daily work of 3 million nurses. But also currently, we are working very positively and hard on the European Directive on Violence Against Women. And it goes without saying that this directive will need to have an impact on the protection of 3 million women who are in the nursing workforce. And we are collecting data from our EFN members to feed into the EU policy process. These are examples from Spain, from the UK, from France, from Estonia, from Greece, from Finland, from the Czech Republic, of best practices that the EFN members have done at national level to protect nurses against violence, which is nowadays a huge challenge for all of us. So we bring this evidence to the Brussels politicians to develop EU legislation to protect 3 million nurses in Europe. And as I said already, the most important directive is the directive on mutual recognition of professional qualifications. Within it, an Article 6 on 8 competences, which means that the nursing curricula is grounded in EU legislation. And member states need to implement this legislation. And this is crucial because EFN members have agreed on 3 categories, a workforce matrix. What type of nurses do we want in Europe? We want general care nurses, the Directive 55 nurses, we want specialist nurses, but we also want advanced practice nurses, like ICN has guided us through this process. And we want European legislation to cover the registered nurses, the specialist nurses, the advanced practice nurses, and the healthcare assistants. This is according to the EFN members, the workforce matrix that we want to have. We want to have a approach in Europe. I think I'm getting again difficulties in technical problems, as I can see it here on my screen. I'm not sure if you can hear me, but I see the same problem. I don't know. So the advanced practice nurse, we are
Sorry, Paul, you got muted and your screen stopped sharing again just now.
I don't know what is happening, to be honest, why it's doing like this. Anyway, I'm back here with the advanced practice nurses and the curricula that we are developing at European level with the EFN members. Here are the country level principles that we are developing together with the European Commission. And I see Dorota in the panel. I'm going quite quickly to Gdańsk to talk about nurse prescribing and to talk about advanced nurse practitioners. I think I'm going to be excluded again. I see it from my screen. So I don't know, Francesco, why this is happening.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I can still see your screen being shared.
Anyway, here is the picture of the commissioner, the president of the commission, Ursula von der Leyen. And I just want to say here that she is a physician and she is very strong. I hope that she's coming back to the commission in the elections in June, and that she will be our next president of the European Commission. She's a strong woman, and I hope that she stays in this position. EFN is also part of the Pact for Skills, because the digital skills of the nurses and the green skill through a European project on Be Well is quite important for us. And I wanted to make reference to this project on digital and green skills for frontline nurses. And as such, develop EU legislation to make sure that we develop a skills strategy in the European Union, a skills monitor, which is important, and the Be Well learning platform, where we have lifelong learning and CPD courses in order to take things further when we want to digitalize the healthcare sector. But EFN is having another European project coming in soon, where we are going to work with artificial intelligence to tackle stress in the workforce. And we will see this project will start in September. It's a huge project led by the Dutch University, and the virtual reality will be part of the co-design of policies and the reality to tackle stress and well-being of the nurses in the EU. Now, let me try to finish this presentation by saying the most important is 6 to 9 June. We have European elections. We are going to elect 900 parliamentarians to the capital in Brussels. And EFN members have decided on what do we want the politicians to do in the future. First of all, protect the nurses' education significantly, because many governments want to downgrade the nursing education. They want to have cheaper nurses. And EFN will not allow this to happen. EFN members will not allow that to happen. Secondly, we want better working conditions for nurses. We want safe staffing levels for nurses. This is something we want to work with the European Commission, with the European Parliament, with the Council of Ministers on developing safe staffing levels in the EU. And finally, we need to do better or best to stop violence against nurses and allied healthcare professions. Dear colleagues, we witnessed 2020-21, where we have seen the pandemic coming to us. It was a pure nightmare for so many nurses, and many nurses left their own life for this pandemic. We want to be prepared for the second pandemic. We want to be better prepared, and the EU needs to help us in doing this. We send regards from all the EFN members here present in Brussels in April, and I wish to all of you all best to make sure that we not be politicians, that we are political leaders in order to influence legislation. I want to conclude that this evening, the Eurovision Song Contest will be with us in Malmö. And this is a great moment. Let us all party this evening to make sure that the world is having music and that we all enjoy our evening in the Eurovision Song Contest this evening. I wish you all the best. Thank you so much.
Hello, and thank you again, Paul, for this amazing presentation. Your slideshow and your words are a series of best practices for the whole world to understand. And just to note for everyone and for you, we will be, this recorded session will be on the website of the Nightingale Initiative for Global Health, and we'll be marking the time for this so that people across the world can keep seeing what you're achieving for European nurses, what European nurses are achieving, and to see how it can be a model for the world. Thank you again, Paul, so much for being with us. We really appreciate it. Now, I see that Stephen Wright is with us, and it is my privilege to be introducing him. Stephen Wright is a multifaceted, multi-hatted nurse who has served across the UK and Europe, and now serves the well-being of nurses from his sacred site in Wales, and helping nurses to recover from the challenges that they face. Stephen, it is a privilege to be welcoming you as a co-moderator of this session. Stephen Wright.
Mute. Thank you so much, David, for your introduction. I'm so sorry I'm late. I've had a devil of a trouble getting logged on, but I'm here now. And I'm not sure I would have anything to contribute further now, whether I'll fit in with what Paul has been saying, but it's given me a different edge to what I wanted to say. I have 5 minutes, I believe, and I'll be as succinct as I can be. As it happens, I was in Istanbul and crossed the Bosphorus to Üsküdar recently, and was inspired to be reminded about my progenitor Nightingale and her work, and to recognize that Nightingale was thought globally but acted locally. She dealt with what was in front of her, and what was in front of her was an immensity of human suffering, but saw this as a problem for the whole of humanity, not just the ones that she was seeking to respond to help and heal at Scutari. And she also offered as a dimension to nursing that has often been glided over, but many of us have been working on more in recent years, which is the spiritual dimension of healthcare. Now, earlier in the program, I saw the words nurses now more than ever. And I absolutely agree with that. But what's different now from Nightingale's time is that the crisis is a global one. I would refer particularly to the work of Pablo Savigny in France on what is known as the collapse, of Jem Bendel and Paul Reed in this country on what is known as deep adaptation, telling us that the world is in crisis, polycrisis, permacrisis. driven by a vast climatic change, which is now, they argue, and many others in the climate sphere now argue, is unstoppable. That leads me to ask, when Paul mentioned about the upskilling and reskilling of nurses, what are the skills that nurses are going to need in the future, when, as this crisis deepens and unfolds, when there will be mass migration over the next 2 decades, new diseases will emerge. We've already seen one in the form of COVID. Mass starvation, enormous climatic change is driving enormous social, economic, and other crises. So the kind of skills that nurses are going to need are to be able to respond locally as well as globally. What my colleagues and I noticed at the Sacred Space Foundation when people were coming in retreat about 10 years ago is that people weren't just presenting with their own problems of stress and burnout and lifetime anxiety, but also a deep underlying an eco-anxiety. They were tuning in to what's going on in the world and were afraid of it. And what are the consequences of that? And we know that sustained anxiety compromises the immune system, which means that nurses are part of the general population, will be more prone to sickness, but so too will the general population, who are also experiencing this eco-anxiety. It means that as ecological, political, economic, and social problems unfold on a scale hitherto never experienced, and even as some arguing leading to species extinction and certainly radical changes in the way we're going to be living, how on earth are nurses going to cope with it? Because we will be subject to these same changes too. So I would argue that in the skilling of nurses of the future, we need mass programs or preparations of nurses as persons to deal with the stress and strain of the global crisis, not only what they see before them locally with the sickness of people that they are dealing with and the problems of communities, but also in themselves. So this crisis is not just one of the patients and communities we're dealing with. This will be a nursing crisis, a nurses crisis too. And I think there is a huge role for nurses here because of the skills we have. And if we develop with it the insights, the spiritual, the emotional skills to be able to deal with it and stay centered ourselves and hold the anxiety, the pain, and the contradiction in ourselves at the same time. And this takes, as Nightingale had, real spiritual strength. I'm not convinced that globally we're addressing that in nurses, how we prepare nurses for that, because nurses will be needed in a global situation where what tends to happen is when people are scared, it often brings out the worst aspects of humanity. People resort to undemocratic regimes. They look for leaders who solve problems. They turn on each other. We create otherness. We find victims and so on and so forth. And nurses are needed more than ever to hold and help people not to fall into those worst aspects of human behavior, but also to be aware of the profound changes in themselves and to be able to hold that as we deal with changes on a mass and global scale. Boy, are we going to be needed more than ever. That's all from me now, David. Thank you for allowing me in at this late stage.
Stephen, thank you so much for that keenly relevant and profound look at nursing from your perspective and from your experience and wisdom. We're grateful you're with us, and perhaps the timing of your presentation was just perfect for this. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you. Now it is my privilege to be introducing Dr. Karen Bjøro, who is the second vice president of the Norwegian Nurses Organization since 2011. And she was elected to the board of directors of the International Council of Nurses in May of 2017, where she now serves as ICN's second vice president. It is a privilege and a joy to be welcoming you, Karen. Thank you so much for being with us.
And thank you very much, Dr. Diva Maria Beck, for that introduction. And thank you also to Paul de Raeve for that powerful message that you had, Paul. I really was inspired by your words this morning. Thank you very much. And good morning to everyone. And thank you for the opportunity to participate in this webinar, Nurses' Voices from Europe. And we're lucky because our webinar in this series is being held in the International Nurses Week. So congratulations to all nurses on the occasion of the International Nurses Week. My name is Karen Bjøro, as mentioned, and I am a Norwegian nurse of 40 years. It's hard to believe, but it's true. I'm currently serving as second vice president of the International Council of Nurses and formerly as the second vice president of the Norwegian Nurses Organization. And we were members of, or we are members of EFN as well. So I felt very closely aligned with Paul de Raeve's statements this morning. Thank you to all the sponsors of this webinar series and to the moderators, Dr. Beck and Reverend Professor Wright for your words this morning. In Europe, we are still emerging from the COVID-19 pandemic. That started back in January 2020 and has become the greatest global crisis of our time, with an estimated 7 million deaths. And nurses were at the forefront of the pandemic, providing compassionate care and leadership. Often the nurse was the only one at the bedside to hold the hand of the dying patient. Nurses made the difference in the lives of so many. But sadly, many nurses also became infected in the line of duty because they weren't provided with the masks, the gowns, the gloves, and the immunizations that they needed to protect themselves. So sadly, many died. Nursing students also had a challenging experience during the pandemic, and many quit along the way. So now the pandemic has left a deep scar on the global nursing profession. And we are now experiencing a global nursing shortage. In fact, the International Council of Nurses has declared the nursing shortage to be a global health emergency. And on behalf of the world's 28 million nurses, ICN is saying that going back to normal is not good enough. On behalf of our profession, we are demanding a new normal with greater investment in the nursing workforce, better pay, and better working conditions. So this Sunday, May 12th, is the International Nurses Day, a day when nurses around the world join together to commemorate the birth and legacy of Florence Nightingale. ICN's theme for this year's Nurses Day is Our Nurses, Our Future. And Stephen Wright so vividly pointed out what nurses of the future will be facing. And that's why we need to think about our nurses, the world's nurses, and our future. So thank you very much for those inspiring words of spiritual words. We're calling on governments and employers to value nurses because as we know, one of the reasons why nurses are leaving the profession is because they do not feel valued. So that's why we need to emphasize this. We need to value nurses, and we need to expect that governments, parliamentarians, and general society must value their nurses. And nurses need to be protected against violence, but also against germs in their environment through infection control, for example. We need to expect that nurses will be respected, and we have the right to expect that our governments, our societies will invest in nurses. Why is this so important? Yes, because health is a human right that cannot be delivered on without nurses. So, ICN's sub-theme of this year's International Nurses Day is the economic power of nursing. And this sub-theme, through this sub-theme, we want to communicate to the world and also to provide evidence that nurses represent an economic power. We are not a sort of dead weight, as you might say. We are an investment in societies, societal health and well-being, and that is of critical importance. So on May 10th, ICN will hold a webinar on this year's sub-theme, the economic power of nursing. So I invite you all to join in on that webinar if you're to please do that. So ICN is investing in nurses in many different ways. And we invest in nurses through our national nurses associations. And there are 136 national nurses associations that are members of ICN. So one way that ICN invests in nursing is to invest in nursing leadership programs. And I'll just name a couple of the programs that ICN has developed and offers. The first one is the Global Nursing Leadership Institute. And that is a 1 week, or actually a 9-month program now, that's being held both online and through 1 week in Geneva. And this is designed to develop national nursing leaders in all of our countries across the world. And each year, of course, there are also nurse leaders, high-level nurse leaders from the European region. Another way that ICN is contributing to nursing leadership development is through the Leadership for Change program. And this is being offered around the world. In my own country of Norway, the Norwegian Nurses Organization is offering the Leadership for Change program to our own national nurse leaders, especially those in clinical practice, offering that program for the 3rd time. Another way is by developing national nurses associations. And as chair of the membership committee at ICN, I initiated development of what we now call the ODINA project, the Organizational Development of National Nurses Associations program. It's currently being offered to 23 national nurses associations in Africa. And that's a very important development, but it will also be offered around the world in time. And the fourth way that ICN is developing nursing leadership is through focusing on investing in nursing students and early career nurses through what we are calling the new Global Alliance of Nursing Students and Early Career Nurses. And this is a program that's just getting started. And actually the board will adopt this program in a week's time. We're looking forward to that. So I think this is really important. And I'd also like to point out the importance that we emphasize that we are demanding that governments begin to invest in nurses. And I think that one way that we're seeing a change at the present time is that the regional office of WHO Euro is currently focusing much more on nurses. Paul Raeve mentioned how the European Commission is beginning to look at nursing and how to invest in nurses. But we're also seeing that the regional offices, WHO Euro, with our regional director, Dr. Hans Kluge, at the forefront of those developments. And we now have in the European region a nurse leader. Her name is Margrethe Langens, and Margrethe Langens has the position of policy advisor policy advisor for nursing and midwifery at the regional office in Europe. And as you may be aware, for many years now, the World Health Organization has had very few and almost no nurses at the international level or at the regional office. This is changing, and this is a really important development for us in nursing to see that nurses are now being brought into powerful positions at the top of government levels. one of the things that we've been able to do in the European region is to further the global strategic directions for nursing and midwifery that were developed at the international level through the World Health Organization, and to bring those down to the regional level through the work at the regional office and under the leadership of Maggie Langens. And there we have developed a roadmap for nursing and midwifery in Europe. And this shows how to implement the WHO strategic directions for nursing and midwifery within our region. And by the way, the European region of WHO Euro encompasses 53 member states. So it's much broader and much wider than the European Union, although that is a very important stronghold of the European region. It's important to remember that we also have Europe, Russia, Central Asia, etc. So it's a much wider region. So we have the roadmap, and there are 4 important areas of the roadmap. Leadership is very important. And I'll just mention that through the work of Maggie Langens, and Dr. Hans Kluge, more and more countries within Europe are setting up the position of Chief Nursing Officer, and many are also developing the position of Chief Midwifery Officer. And one of those positions has recently been developed in Spain. The Spanish government set up this position within the ministry there. So that's one of the most recent developments within leadership. We're also seeing changes when it comes to education and the promotion of advanced nursing education through different programs that the countries are implementing. I would also mention service delivery models. We are seeing many more nurse-led models of care that are being introduced into the primary healthcare system in Europe. And also, finally, I'll just mention briefly that jobs is really important. Paul Raeve mentioned the importance of reducing the violence against nurses. We need, and also pay and staffing levels. And those are critical components, really, to make sure that we have decent jobs for nurses and with better pay. So I think with those words, I will conclude my presentation, and I'm sure I've used more than my 6 minutes. And I wish you good luck on the rest of the webinar today. Thank you very much, Dr. Beck.
Oh, you're welcome, Dr. Bjøro, Karen. Thank you so much. We know that you need to leave us now for the next thing that you need to do with your day. But I would like to say, with regard to what you've said, it's been an added bonus that you've shared with us your European perspective, your Norwegian perspective, and of course also the ICN perspective, which is perfect for this week and for us, all of us across the world, to understand what the great advancements that are being made in Switzerland from ICN and across the world. And thank you again so much. Thank you again for all of your insights and sharings. It'll be very important to be listening again to the recording of your words. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, as we start follow up with the next group of speakers, we have 7 more speakers, and we're respectfully asking each of our speakers to speak at the panelists to speak for their 6 minutes, and for the students who will be coming at the end to speak for their 3 minutes. And so with that, now it is a privilege to be introducing Mrs. Maria Cutajar, who is presently working as the Nursing Services Directorate at Malta's Ministry for Health. She's the former honorary president of the Malta Union of Midwives and Nurses, and she comes to us as from our good friend and colleague, referred to us by our NI Board of Directors and member, Dr. Maria Teresa Panizales. Maria Cutajar, welcome to our Nurses' Voices from Europe. It's a pleasure to welcome you. Maria, we need you to unmute yourself there.
So thanks so much for the introduction, Dr. Diva. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all, wherever you may be joining us from. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to the organizers for arranging the series and for extending the invitation to me. It's truly an honor to be here among such esteemed company and also see familiar faces. Allow me to introduce myself. As Dr. Diva said, I am a midwife by profession, and I'm currently working at the Ministry of Health. My role here involves contributing to policy making, guidelines, and also industrial relations, research, and human resources. With over 20 years of experience, I've had the privilege of representing both nurses and midwives in various leadership roles. Over the years, I have come to identify myself not just as a midwife, but also as a trade unionist, an activist, and someone who continually questions the status quo in pursuit of better clinical practices and, after all, healthier workplaces for nurses and midwives. And today I wish to share with you how this multifaceted identity has shaped my journey and fueled my passion for progress. Advocating for importance of academia and research within our profession, mostly here in Malta, has been a cornerstone of my work. I firmly believe that evidence-based practice is crucial for quality healthcare. However, advocacy doesn't stop at research, but it extends to ensuring good work conditions for nurses and midwives. And we've heard also the previous speakers discussing this and its importance. Shoulder to shoulder with my colleagues, I advocate for better working conditions, appropriate staffing levels, right skill mix, and safe, high-quality care. And what gives me satisfaction and energy in my work are the moments of connecting with nursing and midwifery colleagues, policymakers, and other stakeholders to enhance and improve the nursing and midwifery profession at large. And I can say that these moments provide avenues to create small ripple effects to drive positive change within the nursing profession. So as part of my speech today, I was asked some questions, and here are my replies. One of the questions was, what motivates you in being a nurse? As I said, by profession, I'm a midwife. However, my collaboration with nurses has fueled my advocacy for their profession. Motivated by the opportunity to support and uplift this noble profession, I am driven to advocate for nurses at every opportunity. Nurses and nursing is a noble profession where through art and science, nurses provide compassionate, holistic, and evidence-based care irrespective of the situation. It's a calling, a path to make a tangible difference in people's lives. And we can all acknowledge that this does not mean that there are no challenges. And as I said before, we've heard the previous speaker, there are quite a lot of challenges. And this brings me to the next question that I would like to reply. I was asked, what are the top 3 major challenges or demands in the nursing profession that you see and encounter in your workplace? Very similar to other European countries and the other countries, international countries. I can say that the nursing profession is not without its challenges. As I said, locally, like other countries, among the most pressing issues, we are facing problems with attraction, retention, and recruitment, staffing shortages across the board, the deployment of foreign nurses, administrative burdens, and last but not least, the emotional toll of patient care. And of course, although there might be possible solutions, at times there are no quick fixes. Thus, resilience and perseverance are essential in overcoming these challenges. And this brings me to the next question. How do you manage competing demands as a nurse, professional, and person? I acknowledge that at times during my career, there were situations that were more stressful than others. By recognizing the presence of stressors, I take proactive steps to address them and mitigate their impact. And I can say that it is not always easy. My self-care regime involves self-awareness, proactive coping, and when needed, seeking support to prevent burnout or compassionate fatigue. When we recognize our limits and prioritize our well-being as healthcare professionals, we can continue to provide quality care to others. I believe that prevention is indeed better than cure, and this still applies to burnout in nursing profession. It's imperative that we advocate for workload adjustment, work-life balance, and sufficient days off for our nursing professionals. Equally important is our responsibility to proactively identify and support colleagues who may be demonstrating signs of burnout. By fostering a culture of support and prioritizing prevention, we can mitigate the risks of burnout and cultivate a healthier, more resilient workforce. As emphasized by my previous speakers, the demand for nurses is steadily increasing. The persistent and evolving challenges facing the nursing profession necessitate proactive measures. It's imperative that we remain at the forefront in addressing these challenges. This entails fostering a resilient nursing workforce and cultivating leaders within the global healthcare community. By doing so, we can effectively shape a brighter future for the nursing profession. In conclusion, as we navigate the challenges and opportunities ahead, let us continue to recognize the profound impact we as nurses have on individual communities and the world at large. So let's embrace the spirit of collaboration and advocacy. Together, as leaders, we can shape a brighter future, both for the nursing and midwifery profession, one where compassion, evidence, and progress reign supreme. And before closing, I would like to take the opportunity to wish all my colleagues near and far a happy International Nurses Day. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Maria. What a powerful presentation from a tiny island. Representing Europe so very well and representing midwifery and, of course, by extension, nursing for everything that you're doing for midwives and nurses in your nation. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for the opportunity. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Now it is my privilege to be introducing Dr. Dorota Kilańska, who is a professor at the Medical University of Lodz and Gdańsk, as well as the founder of the Florence Foundation for the Promotion of Digitization and Development of Care Standards. She has held numerous positions and global consultancies, and when she was referred to us by Dr. Raeve, he said that she is the most highly regarded nursing leader in Poland. With that, it is a privilege to be welcoming you, Dorota.
Thank you very much for introduction. I am honored that I can be here and I can share with you my thoughts from the perspective, from my Polish perspective. Dzień dobry to Polish nurses, because I see that some of them are during this weekend, and I hope they join to the next webinars, because now they know that it is possible to be in together with the nurses on this Nightingale initiative. My professional path from 20 years as former president of our Polish Nurses Association has been related to trying to familiarize nurses with the digitalization of care, nurses prescribing, and advanced practice nurse role, and mentoring to students that they can understand what is important in nursing profession and how we can manage new solutions in healthcare. This is, of course, the challenge because in our part of Europe is something another mentality that we have in the other part of the world. Although research shows that the implementation of innovation in healthcare takes an average of 17 years, I deeply believe that thanks to the support we have from nurses from around the world, we achieve this success faster. As the leaders, we are responsible for implementing the positive practice environment into nursing practice. After COVID-19, this is more important than before. It is our responsibility to provide solutions for new generations of nurses that they can provide safe, cost-effective, and evidence-based interventions without wasting the time which we need for increasing demand of care. This is important. And one of the elements is, of course, shared decision-making. Of course, it creates opportunities for direct care nurses to network, collaborate, share ideas. But for the future, how we can manage this? Because in many our documents, we know that potential of technology in transforming the delivery of nursing care and improving patient outcomes, and suggested that nurses can leverage various technologies as electronic health record, telehealth, big data. We need this for the developing new roles, because we have to know how effective are our care. And we have a lot of articles from around the world that we can learn from them how we can implement researches in the practice. But we have to know that the use of computers in healthcare began over 5 decades ago. Information as a power is not a new concept. Nurses, as the largest group of healthcare professionals, are key to quality and safety and to ensuring the best patient outcomes. The number of nursing diagnoses is a strong independent predictor of effective hospital length of stay and of the length of stay longer than expected. And data analysis is another thing that we need for the implementation, new competencies for the nurses prescribing. In Poland, we implement nurses prescribing in 2016. And after these few years, we start to measure effectiveness of these new categories of competency. And next 2 weeks, we start to implement in Poland a huge meeting about advanced practice nurse. The conference, which I hope will show our nurses why we need this role in our health system. Also, of course, because of the Ministry of Health maybe will be there, that we have very good opportunity that we can share with him what is important for nurses according to the nursing strategy directions which we have for nurses. And of course, we know from many researchers that develop new roles as advanced nurse practitioners and nurses prescribing are cost effective. We know that it is that digitalization will help us, but we have to prepare our nurses, the competences of nurses, to these new things for the future. because of course we know that data analysis help us improve understanding of patient needs, better care planning, correct diagnosis, but our nurses should also recognize this as a benefit for the profession, not only for the from the patient perspective. And this is a big challenge for us because we need to measure nursing indicator. I have been in the high level of healthcare technology assessment center, which we discuss every week about what we have to implement to the practice, to the clinical care. And I was looking for the researchers for data about nursing profession, how I can show our my colleagues from the team. And there is not many data about effectiveness of care in nursing. That this is very important for the future. What we are doing now in Poland in this area, of course, we started in 2005 implement terminology which helps nurses to describe patient care, and according to this we have data for the future research in nursing. And also we try to disseminate information for nurses, teach nurses how new competencies, teach nurses why we need this for the future. And of course, we have support from international associations, especially in EDT, help us a lot in implement many new solutions in Poland. But what we need for the future, we also need to develop competences that nurses understand why we need this data, how we use this data for the future, how we can exchange data, what is cyber security, how we can solve problem using the new competences. We can work together because when we work together, people more understand the what we have need for the future. We also know that nursing shortage is big, and every time when we ask nurses, please implement these new solutions, and they gave us information, not now because it's a shortage of nurses, but from the other side, we haven't got any other solutions. If we implement electronic health record in our clinical practice, we can decrease the amount of care about 20 to 40%. This is very important, but nurses should understand this for the future. That is important for the practice, that we can measure the effectiveness of care. We can reimburse for the care plan. Everything is very important, and I know that we need network. We need support each other. We need data from other countries, and from my perspective, I received this many times from many nurses around the world. Thank you very much, and I would like to wish you happy next days because of the International Nurses Day. I am very happy that in this year we can lobby as we can show that it's very important to invest in nursing, that every euro which we invest, we can receive back 60% of this amount. This is very important. Thank you very much for possibility to speak from the Polish perspective about the implementing many new solutions in Poland. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dorota. I was so struck by the dynamic that you shared. You're literally speaking into the future of nursing and all the potential with regard to digitalization, and you didn't say so, but AI and all of the data collection that can help us and in all the ways that we need, and the dynamic where you're speaking to all of this in our future, and you're also living in Poland, a place where that is still challenged by the history of war and the old ways of being, and in Eastern Europe, and how remarkable it is to be encompassing both. Thank you so much, Dorota. Your presentation will be recorded, and for your people and for all of us to be listening again to what you're sharing. Thanks again. Now we have Dr. Elsa Vitali, who is currently a nursing researcher at the Istituto Duomo Giovanni Paolo II in Bari, Italy. She's the director of the Scientific Technical Committee of the Italian Society of Nurse Sciences in Mental Health, and she also represents our co-sponsors, the Integrative Nurse Coaches Academy and the International Nurse Coach Association from Italy, our friend and colleague, Dr. Elsa Vitali. Elsa.
Thank you. And first of all, I'm very pleased to be invited here this afternoon. And many thanks for this invitation. I'll share my video. Since I believe that the power of touch and the connection to patients that goes behind the physical is at the heart of nursing care. And this is the point of joining with also the coaching vision in nursing. Being in here, and that is adaptive, yet worthwhile waiting in terms of providing the opportunity that the human touch that shows care has made an impact on nurses' feelings about the value of their care. I've seen stories have been reported of nursing feeling profoundly inadequate in helping dying, and patients go through this transition in the sense of the kind of loving care. Defining health can be difficult, has also the Institute of Medicine since 2000 and observed that the health is more than the absence of disease and the injury, and therefore nursing has long shared this listing point of view. So we can utilize the concept of a positive health along 4 components: a healthy body, high-quality personal relationships, and a sense of a purpose in life, and a resilience to stress, trauma, and change. Also, the World Health Organization defines health as a physical, mental, and social well-being, and both of these definitions include the concept of a social health as a being as a social factors. So, in this background, our Italian contribution in thanks to the share from the American Nursing Coaching Association is the translation in order to then after validated for different classes of patients over the integrative health and wellness assessment for, first of all Italian population. And to do that, we first of all translated into Italian the questionnaire, and then we spread and reach about 1,000 of Italians, and we collect data and analyze them before we wanted to put the well-being of patients at the center of our profession. And then in Italy, we have a lack of instruments that better assess these dimensions in a unique brief tool, contemporary. From our results, after factor analysis, we perceived a total of 11 subdimensions, such as mental well-being, healthy thoughts, healthy responsibility, anti-stress activity, environmental, free addiction behavior, spiritual, mental and nutrition, physical well-weight, healthy and daily living, and the life equilibrium. Therefore, we always performed some additional differences among sex and age among our interviews. And in this way, we aimed to validate this instrument in Italy, and in our results suggest that a large sample of Italians was reached, and dimensions highlighted from our factor analysis were very represented and high internal consistencies and differences among a sample groups reported that in physical and weight in the oldest participants recorded higher levels in maintaining their weights. Therefore, it can be an area for prevention that nurses, Italian nurses, may be better improve in the next future. And despite the literature showing a substantial number of quantitative and subjective well-being instruments, there was a lack of Italy in this sense. So we can now we will improve this instrument in order to slowly introduce well-being, and then from the need assessments, which will be highlighted, we in the future wanted to introduce the nursing coaching interventions at a basic essential level for all the nursing fields, for all patients typologies. I know that this is very hard work. In this moment, the American Nursing the Coaching Association is giving me a hard hand to work in this issue. And for the next future, I very emphasize the dimension of coaching in nursing before this skill can be reached from other healthcare professions. Nursing is the care of healthcare profession for patients. Thank you.
Thank you, Elsa, for bringing us your perspective from Italy on the need for nurses to be coaches for themselves and for the world, and for sharing your perspective and understanding the Italy perspective and the value of that, your perspective to the world. Thank you, Elsa.
Thank you, Farad.
Now, it is a privilege and a joy to be welcoming Dr. Zeliha Tulek, who is Associate Professor of the Florence Nightingale Faculty of Nursing in the Department of Medical Nursing at Istanbul University Cerrhpasa, where she has served for nearly 29 years. She has authored and co-authored more than 50 nursing journals on a wide range of topics. And since the mid-2000s, Zeliha and her colleagues at the Florence Nightingale faculty have been NICE friends, as she also serves as one of NICE Turkish language advisors. It is a joy to be welcoming you yet again to our opportunities, Zeliha.
Thank you very much. I'd like to thank you, Dr. Deva, for your nice introduction. And also I'd like to greet all colleagues from all around the world. First of all, I would like to mention my happiness to be part of this beautiful organization. And I would like to thank the organizing committee and especially Dr. Deva for their great efforts. Let me introduce myself briefly. My name is Zeliha Tulek. I work as a professor at Istanbul University Cerrhpasa, Florence Nightingale Faculty of Nursing. My area of expertise is internal medicine nursing, but especially neurology nursing and geriatrics. I'm founding board member of the our National Association of Neurology Nursing, and also I'm one of the board members of the European Association of Neuroscience Nurses. I'm also interested in general nursing issue. It is a source of pride for me to serve as a faculty member at Florence Nightingale School of Nursing, which I joined as a young student in 1991. And I would like to say a few words about the institution I work for. Excuse me. Thank you. Thank you. Florence Nightingale Faculty of Nursing is Turkey's second university-level nursing school. It was established in 63 years ago. It offers nursing programs at bachelor's, master's, and also PhD levels. Florence Nightingale is the first nursing school to become a faculty from a university college. It was more than a decade ago. And our school is one of the few institutions that has trained faculty members for many nursing schools around our country. Our school is one of the few nursing schools in Turkey that can offer doctoral education in subspecialties, for instance, in medical nursing, in surgical or in pediatric nursing, etc. Recently, we have started bachelor's program in English also, which is very new for us. During COVID, 4 years ago, we started this program. And number of current students totally for bachelor degree is more than 1,000. And we have also, now it is few, but we have international students. Our faculty is part of one of the few research-oriented universities in our country. Our university name is Istanbul Istanbul University Cerrhpasa, or easier to say Istanbul Cerrhpasa University. One of the most distinguished nursing schools in Turkey with its academic staff. And on behalf of myself and also colleagues in my institution, I wish all nurse colleagues around the world a happy Nurses Week from now. As Could you next slide, please? Yes. And a few, Francesco, please, a few, maybe 1 minute later, we can stop sharing. As we know, nursing is a profession that has difficulties all over the world. Poor working conditions and not being valued in society are the most important challenges. I think it is a job that can only be done with a high level of dedication and humanism. It is a job you can do if you like people and human contact. But the difference you make in people's lives and the spiritual impact of this on you is worth everything. I think this motivation lies at the basis of why many people continue this work despite its difficulties. The disasters we have experienced in recent years have shown that health services are one of the services that must be maintained as a priority and uninterruptedly everywhere and under all circumstances. Nurses, who constitute the largest part of health service providers, have a great role in maintaining these services. As nurses, we form the backbone of health services everywhere, under all circumstances. Nurses are the guarantee of accessing and maintaining fair and human-centered care. Nurses are key healthcare professionals in overcoming global health problems and also in achieving and improving global health. However, nurses continue to be undervalued. In our country, in Turkey, as in many countries of the world, nurses struggle with many negativities, such as poor working conditions, excessive workload, poor social rights, economical difficulties, mobbing, and violence. While our country has not yet overcome the effects of the pandemic, economic conditions have become even worse with the addition of devastating earthquakes. As you may remember, last year, 2 consecutive earthquakes of 7.7 magnitude occurred in Turkey and caused destruction in a very wide area. All these have further aggravated the already existing economic difficulties. All these problems cause well-educated young people, including nurses, to start migrating to European countries where the living standards are higher, probably higher. This situation may cause problems for our country in the future, especially considering that there is already a shortage of nurses in our country and that our population is rapidly aging like other developing countries. In addition, major conflicts and wars in neighboring geographies cause a constant human migration to our country. The rapid population growth in big cities caused by this situation increases the burden on health institutions. Moreover, although there are well-educated and experienced nurses with advanced practice competence in our country, the lack of such a position or system prevents people from being motivated to work more effectively. The incompatibility of responsibility and authority and the fact that independent roles are not sufficiently recognized by regulations cause interprofessional conflicts. However, in addition to all these difficulties, nursing also offers many opportunities. The fact that it is a job-guaranteed profession, that the need for nurses is constantly increasing as the population ages, that it is a profession that can be practiced all over the world, and that job options are not limited to the clinical field, but offer a wide range. All these factors makes nursing attractive. In the last decades, we observe an increasing interest in nursing in our country, not only among women, but also among men. If we look at the situation from our country's perspective, in addition to all these, the increasing number of international clinics may also offer an opportunity to work under better conditions. We hope that the younger generation of nurses will take advantage of these opportunities and they can carry our profession to a better future. Again, I would like to wish all nurse colleagues around the world a happy International Nurses Week. And I would like to state that my institution, Florence Nightingale School of Nursing, is open to both international undergraduate and graduate students and also international academic collaborations. And I would love to host you in our school. Thank you very much for your attention.
Oh, thank you so much, Zeliha. Well, so appreciate your insights and the sharing of your leading edge work in Turkey and in the world for your specialties and generally. Thank you so much. Now, before I introduce the next speaker, I'd just like to make one brief comment that at the Nightingale Initiative for Global Health, one of our interests is cultural diversity and common ground. And we have been deeply aware of the conflicts of the world, specifically the conflict between Turkey and Armenia. And we are very happy to be demonstrating health diplomacy by having a leading edge speaker from Turkey and now a leading edge speaker from Armenia. Dr. Alina Kushkyan is a major nursing educator and is widely respected for her role globally and across the former Soviet Union. She directed the Armenian-American Medical College Erebouni from 1993 to 2003, where she championed advancements in nursing education and nurtured a vibrant nursing community across Armenia and Eastern Europe. I was privileged to participate in 2 of the conferences that she chaired in 2012 and 2014 in Armenia and in the Armenian enclave of Nagorno-Karabakh. Alina is now serves as the founder of the Erebouni Medical Academy. It's a privilege and a joy to welcome our friend Alina Kushkyan.
Sorry, Alina, you're muted.
Thank you, Deva, for this introduction. Thank you very much, and good evening. Hello to everyone. It's a great privilege to be here with you and share my thoughts with you. Are you listening me? Hello?
Alina, we can hear you.
Yeah, do you listen me?
We can hear you.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you for introduction. And just I would like to my professional experience. I'm a medical doctor in public health and healthcare management. And last many years, I'm involved in nursing education and development nursing. And I understand how important this resource for the healthcare. And without the nursing, it's impossible. And we can't imagine healthcare without this important resource. That's why we need to care this our nurses. And I would like to ask, the COVID-19 was shock for us, for all of us, but in the same time, it taught everyone a lesson. different lessons. And for me, it's most important one thing, important that we cannot live in isolation. There are the global problems and we must to integrate in a global world. We have to develop globally with all the changes. The pandemic has shown that although we are different, not similar in appearance, different culture, religion, language, nationality, but globally, to critical situation, we can unite and make our contribution not only in a local or national level, but we can put in global level. This is a time of evaluation, reevaluation of values, a time of global thinking, caring for each other, global cooperation to improve the health and life of people in general. Nurses are the largest group of health workers. Proper planning, and can lead the economic efficiency and productivity of healthcare. It is clear how important knowledge and skills for new challenges. Education and training of nurses is an important aspect of the quality of care, which results in patient satisfaction. The necessary knowledge and skills of nurses can serve a foundation for disease promotion and prevention. Therefore, we must and are already preparing the nurse of the future, universal nurse, who is ready to provide compensative care from prevention to treatment. And to be ready doing everyone at help for each other. I would like to say, during the COVID, we're beginning to thinking much more effectively and fast. That's why, and find the new methods of education. One of them was the online education. Just during the time of COVID, I applied to my former partners, and immediately I received the response. And together we organizing the fantastic series of the online education, and our students and faculty has a possibility to participate and listen to professional presentation from our partners. And in my mind, it was a great example from the nurses, example of solidarity, example of kindness, example of cooperation, and example of friendship. And this is very important was for us. And educational institutions need to take more responsibility in developing curricula and programs. It is necessary to work more closely with Ministry of Health and adhere to the principle of account of determinants of the health. We adhere to the principle or to following the endeavors of the World Health Organization. We have revised the curricula, content, and hours to say what is important for the nurses, what is not. In my opinion, everything is important because we can't prepare nurse in one field, for example, is in critical care without any skills in epidemiology or hygiene. That's why we changed the content and hours, and we are looking around what is important for our population, not only in for our nation, but globally too. Very important, the practical skills in clinical setting. And also I would like to talk about the simulation training, which is very important, and it's a great opportunity for the training. Of course, we have a good simulation lab, but when we talk about the future, is more enriched simulators and simulation lab we need. It's a dream. I think hopefully we become a reality. Embracing technology and artificial intelligence will be a major breakthrough in training of nurses of the future. If we want to integrate into global educational community, educational institution and progress must be internationally accredited. This is to ensure that the ranking of the institution and the need to move forward and improve, as well as ensure further mobility of students and competencies of international market. Internet skills, information technology, English language open up a great opportunity for them. And for us, another thing, it's very important to make learning process interesting and attractive. That's why we creating the atmosphere or warm of kindness and care. The learning process is student-centered. We involve students in developing our strategy of academy. And nurse students conduct with doing the research together with the medical students. It's a great example of the teamwork. And also we very involve our students in work with the population. It is one part of our educational process. And beside that, I would like to say our aim to bring up an education person, not only professionally, but also a complete person of the society, based on the right values. Therefore, we involve in various programs in ecology, climate change, environment protection, in charity programs, in volunteer programs. Often student organized student conferences by their initiative for different actual topics and round tables. They have a debates and which students increase their ability of the critical thinking and their thoughts, which is very creative and very innovative. And sometimes we are learning from our students. And I would like to say, we consider that human health is the most important thing, and human beings are the great value. Knowledge and education, good nursing and careful attitude will contribute to improve health condition. And also cooperation, partnership, and communication without borders unite world, make the better and kinder. Yes, we are all the human and we need be together and change our world in a better size. And nursing is a huge, biggest resource. If we are compared together, we can make really great changes. Thank you very much. I would like to congratulate with all nurses with Nurses Week and wish good health for nurses.
Thank you so much, Alina. It was a challenge for you to stay within your time limit because you were so comprehensive for all of the things that you have achieved and all the things that we as nurses across the world need to achieve. Thank you so much. Now Alina has requested that I announce that on Friday she will be hosting a seminar, a webinar regarding celebrating Nurses Week with a number of amazing nursing leaders across the world. And of course, this is a Zoom link. So if you'd like to attend this session on Friday, May 10th at 12 p.m. UTC, 4 p.m. Armenian time, and 8 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, you can email her, Alina Kushkyan at yahoo.com. Again, Alina Kushkyan at yahoo.com. Okay, Francesco, now back to Alina. Alina is going to be introducing two of her leading edge nursing students from Armenia to be representing students in our Nurses Voice.
Yes, and now today are joined us my students, our students, and we are always together. One of Lucine Asabian, she is a 4-year student of baccalaureate program. And second one, Greg Baltayan, he's a second-year student of the RM program.
Indeed.
Now our students, Lucine. Is she there? She can to connect.
I don't think I see them. I don't think they've
But
connected.
Francisco, she can to connect with you.
Oh, I see. They've
Yes.
raised
She
their
can
hand. I
to
will.
open, yes, and
Yep.
Greg also. Mhm.
Okay. I see they connected as a guest.
Yeah.
I will make them a panelist right now.
Mhm.
Oh, finally. I'm here.
Oh,
Can you So, hey dear, I'm Lucy, who believes in her dreams, making them goals and achieving to all of them. To be honest, my dream has been to become a medical worker since my childhood, so I guess it hasn't been changed at all. I want to cure, to help, to make people smile, and my academy is a really big for us. I feel that it is important to have goal in life, and it is important to me to show everyone the value of goals and achieve them as well. And I love meeting new people and being able to lend a helping hand in any way as possible. And this profession is much more important believing yourself, and for that confidence you need to have for rich in knowledge, which now I enhance from my medical academy. But unfortunately this is the last year that I'm studying in here, but I'm taking with me from this the most wonderful, the most powerful thing, my knowledge. And I'm really thankful for this to our dear director, Alina Kushkyan, because she's doing her best for us having the most powerful medical academy in Armenia. I'm really thankful. And besides that, she picks the most wonderful teachers in here. And they're not only teachers for us, they're also good friends who are helping us a lot um, with their everything. I don't know what to say. I'm really thankful to you all. These 2 years education, I think we can all agree, we're not the smoothest because we have experienced so much pain, so much trouble with almost lost hope. But here I am, here we are, as a proof that not a global pandemic, not even the war could stop our march to our goals and success, because we have worked very hard what we are now. And to conclude, I want to say that you are part of our big, united, and flexible family. And we're really thankful to you for this everything, this opportunity. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I'm just nervous, I think.
Oh, it's no
it's
problem.
okay.
Now to Greg.
Hi, my name is Greg Baltai, and I'm from Los Angeles, California. And I moved to Armenia to attend nursing school here in Erebouni Medical Academy, and I'm actually very pleased with my decision. I've seen a lot with the rotations and the teachers. My teachers are all doctors and nurses, and this academy has given a really good foundation, not just for me, but the rest of the students here in Armenia that will, it's more like a mentorship on how to be the best possible health professional, as good as you can be. And I chose nursing because of all the diversity, and this academy offers a lot of different resources for for everything from, I've seen like surgeries, live births, and just hospital clinic rotations, general like family practice and hospital medicine. And this nursing opportunity has given me a lot to take, and then I'm gonna go back to the US and use what I learned in the US, and I'm very happy in what I'm doing. And also, I'd like to, like in the future of the nursing, I would like to volunteer more in the efforts for nursing advocacy. And that's the biggest goal, is for the nursing care to have the best possible outcomes, because of the nurse, like after this pandemic, the nurses, if the nurses aren't being well taken care of with their physical and mental health, it's going to be a very big problem for the patients too. And then for this nursing speaker series, it's really good for me to have a foundation on what nurses are advocating, and I'd like to advocate for the same thing in the future. And also, on top of everything from mentoring and the academy, it's also good to announce that Erebouni Medical Academy also just became ECFMG certified for their new medical school. So it's also recognized by the United States and Canada. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Greg. And thank you for sharing the dynamics of the Armenian diaspora across the world. Armenian students training in Armenia go everywhere and share what they know across the world,
Yes.
and serve what they know across the world. Thank you, Greg.
Yes,
Now,
yes.
we are closing, as our tradition now, with the Nightingale Declaration for a Healthy World. And this time now we've created the 4th language version of the Nightingale Declaration for a Healthy World with the Armenian version. And so now Lucine and I will read the declaration in English. I'll read it in English, and Lucine will read it in Armenian, with the title now, Nightingale Declaration for a Healthy World. Lucine.
Մեր հայտարարությունը ներշնչված Nightingale-ի թողած ժառանգությունից։
We, the nurses and concerned citizens of the global community,
Մենք բուժքույրերս եւ համաշխարհային հանրության մտահոգ քաղաքացիներս
hereby dedicate ourselves to achieve a healthy world.
նվիրվում ենք առողջ աշխարհ ստեղծելու տեսլականին։
We declare our willingness to unite in programs of action.
Մենք խնդրում ենք մեր պատրաստակամությունը միավորվելու այն գործողություններից
to share information and solutions and to improve health conditions.
որը նպատակ ունի տեղեկատվությունը եւ լուծումները կիսելու։
For all humanity, locally, nationally, and globally.
Տարածելու ինչպես նաև բարելավելու ամբողջ հանրության առողջությունը տեղային, ազգային եւ գլոբալ մակարդակներում։
We further resolve to adopt personal practices.
Մենք նաև որոշում ենք ներդրել մեր սեփական կարողությունները
and to implement public policies in our communities and nations.
եւ հանրային քաղաքականությունը մեր համայնքներում եւ ազգերում։
Making this goal achievable and inevitable.
Այս նպատակը դարձնելով հասանելի եւ ընդգրկելով
beginning today in our own lives,
այն մեր սեփական առօրյայի,
in the life of our nations,
ապա ազգերի եւ ընդհանրապես համայն,
and in the world at large.
մարդկության առօրյայի մեջ։
Florence Nightingale, what did she say to us? We are only on the threshold of nursing. In the future, which I will not see, for I am old, may a better way be opened. May we hope that when we are all dead and gone, leaders will arise who have personally experienced in the hard, practical work, the difficulties and the joys of organizing nursing reforms, and who will lead far beyond anything we have done. Florence Nightingale, 1893. Please join us with your voice. Lucine.
Խնդրում եմ միացեք ձեր ձայնով մեզ։
Yes. And now we have the Nightingale Declaration is available. Francesco, just one more time with that slide back, please. The Nightingale Declaration is available on our website. It's featured. And now you will also be able to see easily the Armenian Declaration. Next slide, please. We now have 14 language versions, including other European languages, French, Portuguese, Swedish, Spanish, Russian, and Turkish. And we are keen to add many more versions. In this session 6, we have representatives from Belgium, Italy, Malta, Norway, and Poland. We would welcome collaborations to create and publish these language versions as well. And now, our next session, Nurses' Voices Speaker Series, June 11th. Nurses' Voices into the Future, featuring the voices of nursing leaders from World Health Organization, collaborating centers for nursing and midwifery. Thank you so much. Now I give the screen back to our closers. Stephen.
Thank you.
Is it my turn now, Deva? Sorry, I lost it. Just to offer a brief appreciation to all the speakers. I'm slightly overwhelmed by the reminder now, as I'm quite old and long in the tooth and long since out of practice. I'm in awe of the broadness of our church and the immense activities and skills that are going on globally and Europe. And a deep appreciation of everyone who's contributed today and all the work that's going on, often unsung. And hearing those two young people last made me feel quite old, quite old, but also recognizing the world that is facing them. That Nightingale Declaration about global action reminds us to recognize, when we look at what is actually happening to the world, the whole planet is sick and a mighty task lies ahead of us. And it's going to take, as Nightingale recognized, not only the skilling of nurses in nursing, but the building of resilience in nurses themselves and to face the future. But I congratulate everyone who's spoken today, and my heart goes out to all my fellow nurses across the world in what you are facing. And I thought I'd close with a few words about Nightingale from certainly the best book ever written about Nightingale, which is Barbie Dossie's book on Nightingale, mystic, healer, and visionary. Barbie writes, Florence Nightingale was a giant in her time, a genius who achieved greatness against immense odds and in spite of chronic illness. As we enter this new millennium, well, we're in it now, we can each weave her legacy of social conscience into our work as we strive to serve the greater community. Nightingale would challenge each of us to identify our must, as she referred to her work, her must. If we listen well to her voice, we can feel within ourselves her wisdom, which embodies the vision and possibility of healing. She would describe this as a lifelong journey toward harmony and balance, remembering what has been forgotten about connection, unity, and interdependence among all things living and non-living. That is a global vision for the future. Nightingale was a one-off. She's long gone. And yet her legacy exists in each of us in our nursing role. And we are each invited us in these times to summon up the Nightingale in each of us. Thank you, Deva. God bless, and thank you everyone who's participated today.
You're welcome, Stephen. Barbie, would you like to close? Your mic.
I'm just truly honored to be part of this global nursing family. And Stephen, thank you for saying that about Nightingale. She called her work her must. And when we get overwhelmed and think that nothing's going to happen, if we can just remember in that moment what we are doing and how I started out with remembering these hands, what is it that we're touching? Body, mind, spirit, culture, environment. We are all one, and we must remember this. Thank you to all of you, and we are blessed to have this global community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Francesco?
Thank you very much. That was an amazing presentation from everyone. Thank you so much to everyone for taking the time to join us today and present and share your knowledge and your experience. Thank you as well, Dr. Deva and Dr. Barbara and Stephen for helping put this session together and for moderating and for those wonderful opening and closing comments. And thank you, of course, to the students for joining us today as well, and to everyone in the audience for taking the time to be here and to take the time to listen to our presentation. Just as a reminder, one final reminder, it's been mentioned already, but the recording of this session will be up on the Nightingale Initiative for Global Health website, on the CFAL York event webpage, and on the CFAL York YouTube channel for anyone who would like to see it or share it. And again, just our next session reminder is June 11th. So please mark that on your calendars and share it, as our registration is always open and free. And with that, just one last big thanks and happy International Nurses Week to everybody.
Thank you.